Welcome to my channel. My name is M.DAMALIE. In this video, I will walk you through a guided Agile project. I will be using Jira to manage the development of a Twitter-like application. And so basically, I'm going to teach you how to use Jira. So I'm excited and thrilled to be here. So let's get started. First, let's start with creating a Jira free account. So let's go to our browser and then let's type in Atlassian.com. And once we are in Atlassian.com, let's go into sign in. And here I'll be able to sign in with my Google account. So let's go. And Google want to verify me, so I will go ahead and verify myself. So now that we have our an account created, I will go ahead and try the Jira software. That's all we need for this project. So we'll go ahead and click try, and then I'll go ahead and get it for free. And for the free version, it supports up to 10 users. And so we don't need Confluence and Jira service management for now. So I'll go to next, and when we get to this page, it will ask us to create a site. So I'll go ahead and name it. Now I'll go ahead and click agree, and we'll give it a minute for the site to get started. And we'll select the template. Since we're going to be working on Scrum, we'll go ahead and select the Scrum template and then go next. So now let's give our project name. So since we're going to be working with Twitter, let's give it a name. So we can say Scrum Twitter. Go to my Google account. And then we'll go ahead and create project. Once you are here, it will ask us to be able to connect with some of tools such as Slack, Microsoft Teams. So since we don't need this, we'll go ahead and skip it. Now we're here, and the next I'm going to be walking you guys through how we can create our user stories, and I'm also going to be explaining what user stories are. So another thing that I would like to also point out is if you already have a Jira account, you can go to project, and then you can go to create project, and you can start all over the steps and be able to create a new project also from this. So this is another way that you can do it. Now we're in the backlog, and then for the backlog is a list of user stories, features, and tasks that needs to be done but have not been scheduled yet. It's like to-do list for your project. Items in the backlog are usually prioritized with the most important tasks at the top of the list. This allows the team to know what to work on next. And then also, if you're wondering what user story is, or you're wondering what task is, user story is simply description of a feature as viewed by the user, and it's written in a way that describes who the user is, what they want and why they want it. It's a way of creating a simplified description of a requirement. Typically format is as, and then you have like a type of user, I want to, and then some goal, so that, and some reason for you creating that story. And then a task basically is a unit of work that needs to be completed as part of the project. In terms of agile development, task is often smaller chunks of work that makes up a user story. For example, a user story might be, as a user, I want to sign up for a new account. This task related to this user story could be design sign up page, develop back-end sign-up logic, test sign-up processes. So these are the ways of writing tags and user story as well. So let's go ahead and create some user story. So on this button, we'll go ahead and create, and then the arrow button, which is green, shows the story. So for our first Twitter-like project, we would like to create a user registration. So let's go ahead and create. and then we'll go ahead and hit enter to create it. And then let's go ahead and create some tags under this user story. So we'll go ahead and T for tags, and then our task could be verify email address. So we could say as we'll go ahead and hit enter. So we'll go ahead and create more user stories as well. So now that we have our user stories and tags reading, let's go ahead and do the backlog refinement. So backlog refinement, some teams also call it backlog grooming, is ongoing process in any agile project management and in Scrums that helps keep the product up to date, prioritized and organized. So we're going to go ahead and organize it, and also we will do some estimating as well. So estimating is basically just providing it with also like a story point. A story point is a metric used in agile project management and Scrum to estimate basically the effort required to implement a given story, basically how hard the work is. The concept of story point involves considering the complexity of a task, the effort needed to complete it, and any risks or uncertainty in that task, instead of focusing on the time it takes to complete the task. As traditionally estimation methods to do, story point consider the overall effort involved. Story point allows a team to understand the relative effort of work regardless of who is doing it. For example, one task might be straightforward, like creating a registration page for a website and giving a lower point value like 1, while a more complex task like setting up a secure payment system might be given a higher point like 5. So that's story points for your context. So we'll go ahead and refine the story. So but first of all, we'll go ahead and also add some acceptance criteria and also definition of done. So our acceptance criteria is, as a user is able to enter their details in a registration form, and it's also create a new account. And our definition of done is the new account is created and stored in the database, and the user is logged into the new account. As this is a condition that specifies a user story or feature must be met before considered it complete. From a functional standpoint, they are usually defined by the product owner or a business stakeholder and is specific to each individual story or feature. And the definition of done, this is a shared understanding within the team of what it means for work to be complete, and it applies across all user story or task. So for your context, and then, so now we're done with our acceptance criteria and definition of done. We'll go ahead and save it. So now that we've added acceptance criteria for stories and tags, for example, the tags acceptance criteria is upon registering, an email is sent to the provided email address containing a verification link. And a definition of done is the user clicks the verification link and their email address is marked as verified in the database. And also for our story, as a registered user, I want to be able to create and post a tweet so that I can share my thought with others. The acceptance criteria is, as a user is able to enter a text into a compose tweet field and click a post button to post their tweet. And the definition of done is that the tweet is visible on the user's profile and in their followers feed. So that's the definition of done, and so on and so on and so on for the various stories that we've created. And the last one is, as a registered user, I want to customize my profile with a picture, bio, and other personal details to express my personality and interest. Acceptance criteria will be a user can access profile settings, upload a profile picture, and edit their bio and other details. And definition of done is the user profile picture, bio, and other details are updated on their public profile. So basically that's this concept. So now that we have our acceptance criteria, definition of done, and all of that reading, let's go ahead and estimate. So we can go ahead and give our first story some points. So let's just give this 2, and then for purpose of learning we can just go and give this one 1, and let's say this one is 5, and then we'll go 2, 2, and 2. Now that we have our backlog refined, we will go ahead and try to create some sprint. In this tutorial we will create 2 sprints and use it as a demo. So for your context, what is a sprint? In Agile project management and Scrum, sprint, also known as iteration, is a short time-box period when a Scrum team works to complete a set of amount of work. Sprint at the very heart of a Scrum and Agile methodologies, and getting sprint right will help your Agile team ship better software with fewer headaches. Here are some key points about sprint that I would like to highlight. The duration. Sprint typically lasts between 1 week to 1 month, with 2 weeks being the most common duration. So this lesson we're gonna use 2 weeks of sprint. And planning. Each sprint starts with a sprint planning meeting where the team decide where they can deliver by the end of the sprint. The work items they select come from the product backlog, which is prioritized list of tasks, as I said earlier on. And then working, the team works on the items chosen for the sprint, aiming to complete them by the end of the sprint. And then another thing I would like to touch on is a daily stand-up. During the sprint, teams hold a daily meeting, often called a daily scrum or a stand-up, to share progress and address any issues. And then review and retrospective. Another thing I also wanted to highlight is review and retrospectives. At the end of the sprint, there is a sprint review where the team shows shows what they have shaped during the sprint, and the sprint retrospective where the team discuss what went well, what didn't, and how they can improve in the next sprint. And then we repeat after a brief period of plan the next sprint, and the cycle repeats itself. So for this lesson we will go ahead and as I said, we're going to create. So yeah, I'm able to create sprint 1 and sprint 2. So now we'll go ahead and prioritize our backlog, prioritize our sprint. So in order to prioritize, we can start by user registration. So for user registration, let's say we'll put that in our sprint 1. So we're able to drag this into sprint 1. And also profile customization. So for profile customization, for profile customization, we can be able to drag also let's go to the tags. So the tags, we can move the tags also part of the user registration into the sprint. And tweet creation, we can move tweet creation into also sprint 1. So this is in that order. And then for sprint 2, we'll go ahead and put the rest into sprint 2. So the sprint 2 will be follow other users, and then also link retweet. So yeah, that's it. Another thing that I would like to also highlight is, since this task is linked to this user stories, we will go ahead and link it, so we know this task falls under this user story. So we'll go ahead and create link issue, and it's not blocked at this moment, so we know it's related to the user story. We can go ahead and start typing it. So we know it's this one. As a user, I want to be able to register, so this is linked to this, and then we'll go ahead and link it. Now before we start the sprints, developers will go ahead and pick their tasks to be worked on based on who can work on what. Another thing I would like to highlight is, if it's a mature team, developers go ahead and pick the tasks on their own. But then if it's a junior team, product owner normally sometimes assign the tasks to them as well. So just for context. And then so now let's go ahead and create our first sprint. It will tell us to enter a sprint goal, and then the duration of our sprint is 2 weeks, as you can see. And then so for our sprint goal, we can say enable user registration So our sprint goal will be enable user registration, profile customization, and initial tweeting on our app. So our sprint will start 7th, July 25th, and it will end on August 8th. So we can go ahead and start our sprint. There we go, our sprint just started. Now that we have our sprint started, let's go ahead and do some customization to our board. So basically, let's do some board management and workflow management. So I will go ahead and create another thing I would like to create is code review. I also like to create testing. And I also like to create PO review. Okay, so I guess we will rearrange this. Okay, so basically to do this is where all new tasks or user story starts. They are ready to be picked up by the team, but work has not started yet. And then in progress, the team member has picked up the task and is currently working on it, and it remains in this stage until the team member has finished their work on that task. So we'll go ahead and move it into, and we'll move some of the stories into, so we'll move the story into in progress. And then we'll move this also. Move this also into in progress. As time developers keep working on this, we will move it into in progress. Now, in order for us to move it to code review, so once the team member has completed their work, the task moves to the code review stage where other team members review the code for any possible issue or improvement. So let's start moving it into code review. Once the work is done and it's ready for code review, we'll start moving it into code review. And then now, in order for us to move it to testing, after the code is reviewed, the task moves to the testing stage. Here, the code is tested to make sure it works as expected and doesn't have any bugs. So this work is done by our quality engineers or QAs. So we just move it to testing for QAs to pick the stories up to work on. And once testing is done, and if everything is working okay as expected, for if any bug is not reported, we will move it to the product owner review. After testing, the task is reviewed by the product owner. They check if the task meets the acceptance criteria and whether it satisfies the needs of the business and the users. So now we'll move this to the PO review. And once the PO review and everything is good to go, every checklist, everything is working as expected, then we will go ahead and move the story to done. This is a super team. They were able to complete the work before the 9 days. So since once the work is done, we can be able to go ahead and complete the sprint. Another thing that I would like to highlight is if you go to the backlog, you can be able to see that the work is done. So you can also change it here. So now we can go ahead and create our sprint, complete our sprint. So sprint is complete, and then we can go ahead and start our new sprint. So in order for us to start sprint 2, we'll go ahead and create a sprint goal. So for this sprint goal, we can say enhance So our sprint goal is enhance user engagement on our app by enabling the following of other users and allowing liking and retweeting of posts. So we can go ahead and start our sprint. And as you can see, this is our workflow as well. So now we're in our sprint 2, and then we'll go ahead and keep moving stories also from in progress. And then once work is done from in progress, we go to code review. And once we're done with code review, we can move it to testing. And once the keyword picks test, the work to be tested, and once testing is done, we'll move it to PO review. And once PO review it and everything looks good, we can go ahead and put it into done. And once story is done, we can go ahead and complete our sprint and celebrate and have some beer. Perfect. So now I want to walk you guys through another concept of epic. I want to talk about epic. So now let's create our epic. In order for us to create our epic, let's go to the epic button, and then we can enable our epic panel. Now you can see the epic on our left hand side. So let's create an epic. So what will the epic be called? Let's call this direct messaging feature. So as you can see, our epic is being created. So what is epic? In Agile software development, an epic is a large body of work that can be broken down into a number of smaller tasks known as user stories. Epics are typically more significant pieces of work that encompasses multiple user stories. They are often used to capture a broad goal or a big piece of functionality that will be developed over the course of several sprints or even multiple releases. So it could be 6 months, it could be a year. For example, if you were developing a social media application, Twitter like project that we're working on right now, you might have an epic for user authentication, which could include user stories for registration, a new account, logging in, resetting and forgetting password, etc. So for this epic, we're gonna call it direct messaging feature, and then we can go ahead and view details and add some child pages to it. So we'll go ahead and add some stories to the epic. So our first story could be send a direct message. So we can write it in the format as a user, as a registered user. I want to be, so let's write it as a user. So as a registered user, I want to be able to send direct message to another user, so I can communicate with them privately, and then we'll go ahead and create it, and we can create another one. Another one will be receive a direct message. So as a user, as a registered Another story we can add to the epic is delete a direct message. So as a user, as a registered user, I want to delete a direct message I have received or sent, so I can manage my message history, and we'll go ahead and create it. So now we have our child issues under the epic. So now that we're done adding our charged issues, we'll go ahead and close it. And then as you can see on the backlog, you will see this showed in our backlog, and we can go ahead and assign some story points. Maybe we can say 2, and then we can give this, let's say 5, and then maybe this 8. And then once we're done assigning, we can also, and then we'll make sure we also add a acceptance criteria and definition of done also in the description. And once we're done, we can move this into the sprint 3. Now let's say our epic, which is direct messaging feature, will take us 6 months or more. We can go ahead and assign some date. And for this epic, we are able to give it a start date. So when you scroll down, we can put a start date. So let's say the start date is 25th July, and then the due date will be, let's say 2024, maybe March 2024. So we can put it this way, and then as you can see, it will start, the start date will be, and the due date will also be showing. Now let's create a dependency. So dependency basically means one story depends on the other. So if you're not able to finish that user story, you are not able to you won't be able to finish the other user story as well. So let's say this story, we can go link issue. We can say this is blocked by SPL 10, which is as a user, I want to delete a direct message I have received or sent so I can manage my message history. So let's say this is, and then we could go ahead and link it. So this means so when we go ahead and click this, we can see that this is blocked by our user story. As a user, as a registered user, I want to be able to send a direct message to another user so I can communicate with them privately. So as you can see, and also how we are able to create epic and also create dependency, so the story depending on another. And then also in a next video or in a next lesson, I'm gonna go ahead and also teach you guys how to create dashboards, also create some matrices that you can use to track your workflow. Thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed, hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on notification and drop any thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video. Stay safe.